everyone, and welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And we are back here talking all about tiny houses.
Yes.
Now, your home here in Taiwan,
yes,
it's not a tiny house.
No.
But is it smaller than your family's house in America?
Yes.
Okay. And
yes.
do you find that's already a little too small? Because I think part of tiny houses, if you grow up in a tiny house, you're used to it.
Yeah.
But if your family had a big house and you had a bedroom and your brothers and sisters all had their own place, suddenly a tiny house could be very small.
Yeah, I agree. And also, it's a little different if it's an actual house with a yard. I think that makes a big difference than just
if you have grass and a garden and an outside area.
Because, you know, I feel living in Taiwan and living in apartments, I miss having a yard. So I feel the crowdedness a lot more because I can't just open the door and go play outside. I have to go down and walk to a park. So that might be a little bit of a balance for me in a tiny house that would have a yard and like a fence and, you know, an outside area.
Yeah, that's
then
true.
It might be a little bit more equal.
Very true. I mean, living in Taiwan where the houses aren't tiny, but coming from Canada or America, they might feel tiny. But I bet if you took someone who lived in an average apartment in Taipei and suddenly put their family in a Tokyo apartment or a Hong Kong apartment, which can be much smaller, people would feel, oh, suddenly it's very, very tiny. But I think you're right. If you were living by yourself and you were kind of busy a lot, you know, younger person, busy, it might not be so bad. But if you're in there with 3 or 4 other people and you're always, it could lead to arguments and fights. But really, it's up to you. What do you like? What do you need to feel happy? Maybe a tiny house will be perfect. We'll find out more about them in today's article. Most tiny homes are on wheels so people can travel with them. If people get tired of an area, they can just move their home to a new one. For many people, tiny homes are perfect. However, they don't work for others. Those people can't live in a tiny space with few closets and smaller appliances. Okay, yes, we're back with all about tiny houses. So I have a crazy idea. Let's read the article and find out all about tiny houses.
That's really a crazy idea.
Let's do it. It says most tiny homes are on wheels. Cool. So people can travel with them. Ah, that's a little bit different. Okay.
Yeah.
So most tiny homes are on wheels. We might say they're mobile or mobile, so people can travel with them. But this wouldn't be one of those sort of buses that's been changed into a kind of bus home. This is more like you keep it in one place, and then after a few months, you can put it on a truck or attach it to something. And move it around. But I guess that would be interesting. At least you can see different parts of the world in your tiny home.
And you can kind of bring your whole life with you, so you don't have to just pack. I guess that would be kind of a funny part of it, that you wouldn't have to just pack some bags for travel. You could pack your entire house. So you wouldn't have to leave anything behind.
Okay.
And so we had this word travel. Travel as a verb, you travel around and you can go to different places. And anytime you want to visit a different country, you travel to that country. But this word, you don't usually say that we travel somewhere if you're going to stay there for a long time. A lot of times travel is more about you go there for a little bit and then you come back to wherever you live. So it's a little interesting to talk about bringing your whole house to travel with you, because it implies that you might stay for a little bit, but then also move on at a later time, which is what the next part of our article says. And it says, if people get tired of an area, they can just move their home to a new one.
Oh, okay. I guess that would work. Of course, if you have a job or go to a school that you have to be at, that would be difficult, right? But many people work from home. Many people can study from home.
Yes.
So this might be an idea. It says, for many people, tiny homes are perfect. Yes, if you work on your computer and you don't need to be in an office, if you live alone or with one other person, for example, if you really like traveling and seeing different parts of the world, this might be exactly right for you. And that's basically the meaning of perfect. This is the perfect soup. I love it. It's got just the right amount of salt and pepper. The vegetables are really good. The flavor's really good. For me, this is the best you can make it. It's perfect. But of course, what is perfect for me might not be perfect for you. But the idea of perfect is it is the best it can be. There's nothing you can do to make it better. It's already 100% or perfect. Back to the article. However, it says they, that's tiny houses, don't work for others, right? For people with large families, for example, or people with lots of stuff, a tiny house might not work. It says those people can't live in a tiny space with few closets and smaller appliances. If you love having a big kitchen with lots of different cool machines for making your best food, or if you're like me and you have thousands of books at home or something like that, a tiny house wouldn't work. I could not get all my treasures, my books, my music, all that stuff into one little closet. I need more space.
Yes, and so they talk about how tiny homes have very few closets, and a closet is usually it's going to be built into your house, and it's where you would store maybe your clothes. Actually, I guess you could put really anything in your closet. Yeah. It normally will have some type of doors, and it's kind of partitioned off or kind of separated from your main living area with doors or sliding doors, something like that. And you might have many closets, you might have none, because I feel in Taiwan a lot of times there aren't built-in closets. You have to buy the kind of wardrobes, those kind of ones that you have that you can open the doors and drawers and things like that, but you moved it in and built it. It's not actually connected to your apartment. And in America, most of our houses have built-in closets. So they're part of the actual room, and they're not a separate piece of furniture.
Yeah.
And so that would be a closet in this
True.
case.
You often would find them in an American home by the front door, or if you've been to a hotel, they'll often have that door right by the front door. You open it, you can hang your coat, your jacket there. They might have extra pillows there. But you're right, there's a lot of different words we use for these things. The furniture in your room where you put your t-shirts and socks and stuff, that would be a wardrobe or an armoire. And of course, in your kitchen, you would have cupboards, littler spaces with smaller doors where you put your cups and your plates and your dishes. So all of these things are a little different, but really they're just places to put away your stuff to get it out of the way inside your home. Now, an appliance, you probably wouldn't put your appliances in your closet, but you might put them in the cupboards in your kitchen because appliances are machines that you use in the kitchen. Generally. Now, this would be your coffee machine, your microwave, that thing you use to mix up juice when you're making your own juice. All of these kinds of machines, usually powered by electricity, that make life easier and make your work faster when you're working in the kitchen, preparing food and stuff like that. Yeah, if you love cooking, you're not going to be happy in a tiny kitchen. It would be like camping all the time. And for some people, that's no fun. All right, let's take a break and then we'll be back. Also, it's not always easy to find a place to park a tiny home. What's more, the cost of moving one can be pricey. Would a tiny home meet your needs?
Okay, so we have been talking all about tiny homes, and now we are going to see, we just saw actually that a lot of the tiny homes are on wheels. And so you can travel and move them to different places, and you park them, you stay there for a while, say, I don't like this place. And so then you pick up your home, hopefully with some help, and you move it somewhere else. And so if we keep reading, there's a drawback, or there is a negative to this, because also it's not always easy to find a place to park a tiny home. So even though you might want to move and you might want to go find a different area to live in, it's not always easy to find a spot to park your tiny home. And park means to temporarily put something somewhere. So normally we use this when we're talking about cars. You will drive your car and you need to find a parking spot or a spot to park your car. And so in this case, of course, we don't have a car, we have a whole house, but we want to find a spot to park it, put it there for a little bit, and it'll stay there until we move it. Sometimes we can even use this if we're kind of talking in a little bit of a silly way to say, I'm going to park myself on the couch and I'm not planning to move until this movie is over.
There you
so
go.
Sit down and you stay there and you're not planning to move until you're all done.
You stop, you leave it there, and you might come back and move at a later time. In fact, if you look in a car, I think when you stop the car, there's a P, right? You move that thing that controls the engine, kind of. D for drive when you're going, and P for park when you're stopping. So there you go. Of course, it's not just about leaving it in a place. With a tiny home, you'd have to have it connected to electricity. You'd have to have it connected to water. So you can't just put your home anywhere. It needs to be in a special place for tiny homes. And there might not be extra space. What's more, the cost of moving one can be pricey or can be expensive. It's not as easy as just putting it on a car. There are a lot of other things to do, and it would also not be easy to move it. You might have to have a special trained driver or something like that. So would a tiny home meet your needs, or at least would this kind of tiny home meet your needs? As we mentioned there, moving them can be pricey. I mentioned that pricey is expensive. It just means it costs a lot of money. It has a very high price to it. So tiny homes might not be pricey to buy, but they might be pricey to maintain and to live with. So is it the right home for you?
Definitely not for me.
No?
I have too many living things to fit in there.
True. Well, I only have my wife and a cat, but I always thought if I was going to live in a tiny home, I would want it to be in a boat or a spaceship.
Ooh.
So if I can go somewhere and see different parts of the world, or if I can look out of the window and see a beautiful view and kind of be on my own, that would be great. But boats and spaceships are pricey too.
Especially a spaceship.
I guess I'll stick with my apartment in Taipei City. All right, guys, what about you, though? Is a tiny home perfect for you? If it's going to be your first new home, it might be something to think about. All right, take care, everyone. We'll see you back here with more great stuff. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Most tiny homes are on wheels, so people can travel with them. If people get tired of an area, they can just move their home to a new one. For many people, tiny homes are perfect. However, they don't work for others. Those people can't live in a tiny space with few closets and smaller appliances. Also, it's not always easy to find a place to park a tiny home. What's more, the cost of moving one can be pricey. Would a tiny home meet your needs?
Hello, I'm Tina. 我们来看这一课的重点单字。第一个 travel 动词移动行进。Bikes cannot travel on freeways. 脚踏车无法在高速公路上行驶。 freeway 指的是高速公路。下一个单字 perfect 形容词，完美的、美满的。No one is perfect， 没有人是完美的。下一个单字 closet 名词，橱柜。Teresa found her missing earrings in the closet. Teresa 在橱柜找到她遗失的耳环。Earring 指的是耳环。最后一个单字 park 动词，停放，交通工具。Where did you park the car? 你把车停在哪里？接着我们来看重点文法。第一个 on wheels 装有轮子的，这是一个形容词片语。Wheel 是轮子、车轮，在这里固定使用复数。我们来看看这个例句。I need to buy a suitcase on wheels. 我需要买一个装有轮子的旅行箱。Suitcase 指的是旅行箱、行李箱。下一个文法 Somebody gets tired of something. 某人厌倦于做某件事情。Tired 在这里指的是厌倦的、厌烦的。注意它的后面所接的介系词是 of。我们来看看这个例句。My mother got tired of all the chores she had to do at home. 我妈妈厌倦了所有她必须要做的家事。Chore 指的是家务、家事。最后一个文法 meet one's needs 满足某人的需求。Meet 在这里指的是满足、达到，它的三态是 meet, met, met， 可以用 satisfy 来替代。这里的 need 表示生活的需求、必需品，常用复数。我们来看看这个例句。The house meets our family's needs. 那间房子符合我们一家的需求。以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，我们下一课再见，拜拜。
Hey everybody! Today, this is going to be fun. We're going to the Taipei Zoo. Now this makes me think about animal sounds. And animals sound different in English than they do in Chinese. So how about some examples? So a dog, what sound does a dog make? In English, it goes woof, woof, woof. A cat, pretty similar. Our cats go meow. How about a frog? Ribbit, ribbit. How about a horse? Neigh, neigh. So as you can see, our animals in a different language make different sounds as well. So why don't we go check out the Taipei Zoo and see what kind of animals they have. The Taipei Zoo is located at the very last station of the Brown MRT line, and it is based in a valley in Wenshan District. The zoo was established during the Japanese ruled period, and now it is more than 100 years old. The zoo used to be located in the Yuanshan area, but due to a growing number of animals and a lack of space, it ended up moving to the Wenshan district in 1986. The zoo has 8 outdoor display areas and 6 indoor display venues. You can see penguins, koalas, pandas, elephants, hippos, monkeys, and all other kinds of very popular animals. The Taipei Zoo is also involved in education, research, and conservation, so it's great for the environment and for the animals. It is just a wonderful place to have a good time. Who does not love going to the zoo? The zoo is probably one of my favorite places to visit. I love seeing all the animals. My favorite animal is probably the monkey, because they're always so exciting and they put on a show and they like to throw things. Oh, but there are so many great animals to see at the Taipei Zoo. So if you've never been, what are you waiting for? And I'll see you there.